Listen, it may be June, the weather may be warming up, but damn it, it's Spider-Verse time, motherfuckers.
3 hours later.
Draw me like one of your French girls, am I right?
Wake up, babes. New Spider-Verse movie. You know that rap battle video where everyone's like, oh, and then there's that one guy who's like, ah. Yeah, that's me. And apparently they've referenced it in the movie. I'm writing this script right now, genuinely not knowing where to begin. I feel like once I post this review, everyone will have said what I already talked about. It's 3 in the morning and I do not think I'll be able to fall asleep. Help, help, help. I'm gonna discuss my non-spoiler thoughts, then we'll get into the nitty-gritty. But first I should probably share my thoughts on the first movie. I mean, of course I love it. I mean, I've never been able to talk about it at length because it's one of those movies that have definitely been praised to death, but I mean, it's the reason why I'm a Spider-Man fan. Sensational animation, sensational characters, sensational performances, sensational humor, sensational score, sensational soundtrack, sensational everything. Sensational is one of my favorite words, so you better believe it. I love that they named one of the villains after me, that's so sweet of them. It's only like my 6th favorite movie of all time, so I was kinda sorta looking forward to the sequel. And let me just start off by answering the video's title, if you couldn't already tell by the thumbnail. This was my most anticipated movie of the entire year, and it was absolutely worth the 4.5-year wait. So good, I watched it twice. You know, in my defense, my finger slipped. I'm listening to the score as I type this. It is really helping those creative juices flow, and my oh my, is Daniel Pemberton something else. Speaking of which, I guess I can officially begin talking about this movie by discussing his work. How shall I put this eloquently? Of course I fell in love with him because of the first movie. The Prowler theme may sound like microwave noises at first listen without context, but it really gets under your skin and sticks with you in the best way possible, and is my personal favorite leitmotif from the first one. The fact that it's a distorted elephant trumpet, that's just genius. I feel like I need to move it down a little bit. So I rewatched Sideways' video on the sound of the Spider-Verse a few hours before I saw Across, and first of all, killer title by the way, and second of all, we miss you Sideways. I just wanted to hype myself up before seeing the movie and it totally worked. I mean, the way Pemberton was able to take his motifs from the first movie and elevate them to a whole nother level is just astounding. However, I also love the new tracks and cues and stuff. First of all, the fact that he played around with the left and right channels with the audio balance is just awesome. And this movie made me realize that I freaking adore his motifs for antagonists. The instant, and I mean instant, that first look teaser dropped, I was already head over heels with these couple notes. I was thinking, I mean, it's gotta be Miguel's theme, right? It's way too distinct and Spider-Verse-y and Pemberton-y just to be temp music. I heard a little bit of speculation that it might be the spots, who, don't worry, I'll get to, or it was reused from like an older Spider-Man show, but sitting in that theater and hearing in surround sound completely confirmed my hypothesis.
I'm gonna kill you. Hey guys,
I was gagged.
Hey guys, are we vlogging?
No. And when it hits those key changes, ooh. Alright, let's get to the main characters. We got the Spider-Man himself, Miles Morales, who has definitely grown since the last time we saw him, but hey, puberty be like that sometimes. He's a man. I found a little bit of Spider-Man 2 Peter in him where they're both struggling with their dual identities, though Across doesn't dwell on it for too long that it starts feeling like a rehash, which I appreciated. But he's handling it like a champion though. I absolutely love him and was right beside him on his journey every step of the way. We also got Gwen, my personal favorite character from these movies, who I'm really glad got more focus, especially with that opening scene. I loved being able to see more of her universe because it's so pretty. Look at it! When she asked Jessica Drew if she could adopt her, that was a mood. Seriously, in the opening scene alone, Haley Steinfeld packs just as much emotion as she does as Vi in Arcane. It still blows my mind that she voices those two characters. It could be because I watched one of her new projects post-Arcane and I definitely felt more of that Vi energy coming from Gwen this time around. I'm not complaining though, I think it works. The fact that I waited for this, and yet I still have to wait for Beyond the Spider-Verse and Arcane Season 2, how has my brain not exploded yet? Spider-Man India, Pav was pretty great as well. I loved his whole thing with Chai and how he played around with his cuff bracelet and webbing as a Diablo. Am I the only one who learned how to play with one in middle school? Anyway, Spider-Punk was wonderful too, Daniel Kaluuya, mwah. I don't believe in comedy either. And of course, it's always nice to see my man Peter B. Watching the trailers, I'd assume he showed up earlier than he actually did, but during the movie I didn't notice he wasn't there until that scene where he shows up. Then I got excited. I think it's incredibly sweet that he has a daughter now because of Miles. Actually, I'm going to talk about Into at length. I was lying before. The whole dynamic with Miles and Peter B is another one of my favorite aspects of the movie, but it's kind of something else I want to dedicate an entire video to, which I'll get to at some point. Can I talk about the spot now? Cause I just really want to talk about the spot now. Holy crap. I love Jason Schwartzman, if you couldn't already tell by my last video. Literally all I heard was Jesper from Klaus.
Please don't chop me up and scatter my parts in the woods!
I mean, the spot really is him if he never took that life-changing field trip to Smearensburg. Especially that one moment when he just waltzes into the Mumbattan Alchemex and is like, boop, and go away, go away, go away. I'm so used to seeing him play protagonist that I was really looking forward to him playing an antagonist. The fact that this isn't the only Jason Schwartzman movie coming out in June of 2023 is so freaking cool. I can't wait for Asteroid City. But yeah, I just thought he was amazing. A fantastic blend of hysterical comedy where you don't take him seriously one moment to him being genuinely terrifying the next. See you back home, Spider-Man. That's what people say about Jack Horner in the Puss in Boots sequel, but honestly, I much prefer the Spot. He's not necessarily evil from the get-go. I mean, he is trying to rob an ATM machine. Sorry, ATM. But he is aware he's committing a crime and doing a really bad job at it. It's fantastic. Based on his designs in various comic runs, it seems like him having a face is optional, so I love how the character designers decided not to give him one. Not having to deal with lip flaps is one less thing to worry about when you have hundreds of specifically designed characters and a bunch of action set pieces. He was still able to be incredibly expressive through just his body language and Schwartzman's vocal performance. That's the power of animation, y'all. I really wanted more of him because he's mainly only in the first half, but hey, guess it's a good thing we have part 2 coming. If he left that much of an impact, then I can't even fathom what he'll end up doing in Beyond. I absolutely loved how you can see his rough sketches. He's not even a human being anymore, he's just a form. He himself said it's not a costume, it's actually his skin. His entire design, in fact, is awesome, and the way he utilizes his holes is such a delight. His holes can take him anywhere, after all. And I mean anywhere. I just found this Lego figure of myself that I made with my friends one time at the Lego store. That's why I'm putting it there. No other reason. Wait, how have I gone this far and not talked about the animation yet? What? Dude. What the fork? How did they top themselves with the first movie? Phil Lord said back in 2020 that it makes the first movie look quaint, and yeah, no lies detected. There's always something to appreciate in each and every frame. The facial expression, the lighting, the background, how they managed to fit so many colors in 1 millisecond of animation, how each setting is designed as if it was created by different artists. Just, I mean, for crying out loud, every frame's a painting. How is this movie real? How is this movie real? I'm not exactly sure if we'll have a shot that'll be considered to be as iconic as the Miles not falling but rising during the What's Up Danger sequence, but I guess time will tell. With the universal acclaim it's been getting, we just might. But if I did have to pick a favorite shot, it would be that one of Spot. So many colors in the span of seconds, the way Jason Schwartzman so playfully says, "See you back home, Spider-Man," it's just, I just can't get it out of my head. Also love the one of Gwen walking upside down on the clock tower. wait, oh my gosh, don't even get me started on Vulture. He's voiced by Jorma taccone, the same guy who gave us...
How dare you point at me? You were pointing first. Rude to point.
You're being very rude.
But also...
Threw up on the train tracks on 34th. This kid saw me and... Not a good look for Spider-Man. Anyway. That's a recording, are you? Okay, great.
He was another character I was kind of expecting more screen time from, but there's already so many characters I shouldn't really fault the movie for it. I remember first hearing him be described as from the Renaissance period, where instead of a comic book coming to life like the movie, he was instead something out of Leonardo da Vinci's sketchbook, which is such a cool concept in and of itself. We don't see the style for very long, but oh, it's so cool when we do. I found the story structure of this movie to be pretty interesting. I remember Troy Oboyo said in his own Spider-Verse video that it's more like a 5-act structure, and I thought that was pretty cool. Like, it is a good way to format it, but it's also kind of like 2 halves, where the first half is mainly Miles, like specifically Miles and his storyline with a lot of family drama, which I thought was still really compelling. And then the second half is him as Spider-Man dealing with the actual act of going across the Spider-Verse. I mean, to be fair, part of the family drama is set up for the second half, and then we're gonna get more of it with the second half with the sequel with Beyond, and wow. We were originally never supposed to get a 3rd movie. Lord and Miller and the rest of the Spider-Verse peeps have such a huge story to tell that Sony actually let them split it into 2 movies. What a couple mad lads. I'm so glad the studio is just letting them cook. The fact that we have a Spider-Woman spin-off coming too, oh my gosh. Would now be a good time to get into spoilers? Chances are by the time I get this video up, you've already seen it, but just in case, skip to this time code or to the next chapter. You do not want to spoil yourself. I am serious. Please, please, please. I beg of you. Ready? Let's go. So you know how I said how much I love Prowler's leitmotif? Well, wasn't expecting to hear it again. Let alone see Mahershala Ali. What's up, man? I missed you. Where do I begin with that cliffhanger? So I already knew that the 2 movies were part 1 and part 2, and I heard that for the part 1 there was going to be like an Empire Strikes Back level cliffhanger. In retrospect, I kind of wish I didn't know what the level of cliffhanger was, but I'm just glad they didn't reveal the twist at all, so that was good. It's built up so masterfully, but there's still those couple lines that make you go, wait. It's kind of like that one shot of Joker in Batman 89 where Bruce is telling him this story and Joker is like, okay, I'm not following, but proceed. It's basically how I felt. Rio, Miles' mom, mentioned something about Miles' hair and like how he let his braids out, and I'm like, eh? And then she mentions Comic-Con, and I'm like, wait, in the first movie, he doesn't know what Comic-Con is.
How many more spider people are there?
Save it for Comic-Con.
What's Comic-Con?
So how does Rio know what Comic-Con is when Miles doesn't? And how does she not know what Spider-Man is? And then the twist drops and you're like,
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
he's in the wrong dimension. I am kind of glad they spelled it out for the audience, because when Gwen goes into Miles' room, I thought it was like the one over, like the one right next door to his room. I didn't really put the pieces together. Based on the trailers and how it felt like they were starting to show a little too much, something I'm going to repeat from my Super Mario Bros. Review, I started thinking that the big, or at least one of them, standout scene on the Nueva York train was going to be the climax. And yeah, it kind of was, but the movie went on for a while afterwards, which I was fine with. The trailers didn't reveal the twist, which I was fine with. I kept anticipating for the screen to go black and for the credits to roll when Miles used the go-home machine, even Gwen, because it felt like there was an average amount of time for following action to pan out, but thankfully it didn't. And holy crap, the band of spider people Gwen rounded up at the end, Penny Parker, Spider-Ham, Spider-Noir, they were never mentioned in the marketing, so I assumed they were going to have little, if any, screen time, but Penny got like one new word of dialogue, which was better than nothing, but sadly none for Ham and Noir, but it's super awesome we'll get to see all 3 of them again and beyond. As for all the cameos, the one I immediately cared about the most were the ones from the Sam Raimi trilogy. Aside from the first Spider-Verse, the trilogy was the other Spider-Man property that I got really emotionally attached to, so seeing it being referenced was just great. The characters don't make new appearances in this, but we do see archive footage and we even hear,
Hello, Peter.
even Spot said at one point in the film, the power of the multiverse in the palm of my hand. Well, no new appearances except J.K. frickin' Simmons, baby! I freaked every time I heard him slander Spider-Man's name. One last thing I'll mention about Spot, and it's that they were able to create a no-name, background character from the first movie into an all-powerful threat in the next. And I would have never, ever guessed it would have been the bagel guy.
I created you. You created me.
Spider-Man, why did you create that guy?
Now I guess I can directly reference the LEGO universe. That was such a delight. The fact that it was animated by a 14-year-old, nothing but respect for you, Preston. You wanna know what I was doing when I was 14 years old? Standing Colleen Ballinger. I mean, she's topical at the moment, to say the least, so I mean... I got those big spoilers out of the way, so now I'm gonna go into the smaller details now. I didn't know this while watching the movie, but Mike Rianda, the director of The Mitchells vs. the Machines, voiced the Spider-Man in the therapy session.
And then I looked at my uncle and...
Let me guess. He died.
One of my favorite gags from the movie, by the way. Brava, Mike. One voice I was able to pick out on the spot, get it, was Genki's, Miles' dorm mate. I was thinking, is that Peter Sohn, the director of Elemental, which will probably be out when I upload this video, and the voice of Emil? I was picturing Emil in my head when he was talking, and it was as clear as day. I would have checked the cast list if I could have, but I'm honestly quite proud of myself for figuring it out. Speaking of directors, Joaquim Dos Santos is another one of the directors, and for any Avatar fans out there, he was heavily involved in The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra, and directed some of my favorite episodes in Book 3, including Part 3 and 4 of Sozin's Comet. Why did I ever doubt this movie would be slightly subpar? When there was about 20 or so minutes left, my friend asked me if I wanted the rest of the popcorn they had. So I took it, unblinking, eyes glued to the screen. During the credits, I ended up using the bag to hyperventilate in.
Okay.
I mean, I looked worse. My other friends were mulling over the fact that we have to wait even longer for the third movie. They were thinking like 4 or so years, but I assured them, saying it's coming out March 29th of next year. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. How many days until March 29th, 2024?
It's 288 days until then.
It's fine. We got this. Let me just say that I pretty much never give a movie a 10 out of 10 on its first watch, even with movies that are in my top 10 or even top 5. With very few exceptions, I personally score movies based on my enjoyment, how rewatchable it is, and how passionate I feel about it overall. Some 10 out of 10 movies I adore have microscopic flaws I can easily look over since no movie is perfect, or I recognize they have very noticeable ones, but because of how passionate I feel towards it, I love it like a 10 anyway. Blame Letterboxd for fundamentally altering the way I view movies, I don't know, but that's just how I feel. I prefer seeing whether or not my love for a movie will grow deeper and stronger over time by rewatching it or listening to its score on repeat, rather than overhyping it on first viewing and later having to knock down my score in retrospect. I hate when that happens. With that said, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse gets a 10 out of 10. Literally the only flaws I can point out are the inconsistencies between what we saw in the trailers and the first movie. Like, once Peter is a lot younger in Across than he is in Into. In fact, the entire scene is different. And the whole Miles and Gwen reunion is altered from what we saw in the first look teaser. I don't know why, seems unnecessary, but that's super nitpicky. I don't know what was going on behind the scenes anyway, so. But at the same time, I can't quite say whether or not it's better than Into the Spider-Verse yet. In the same way I can say Kung Fu Panda 2 is better than Kung Fu Panda 1, or Shrek 2 and Shrek 1, or even Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 1. Like I said, it's my 6th favorite movie of all time, and it takes a while for a movie to get up that high. Into for me is like absolute S+ tier modern classic status, and it's an act of God that Across was able to challenge that. So just give me time. I must ruminate on this cinematic work of art. I have a couple videos planned for later this year, specifically my best movies of 2023 one, where I'll get to talk about this movie again, so I'm sure I'll have a definitive answer by then. I'll keep you posted. Though I will say in the future, when I'm in the mood to watch a Spider-Verse movie, I might just pull a double feature. One feels incomplete without the other, and that's kind of saying a lot right now because the sequel is, by some definition, an incomplete story. No joke, I pulled like 1, almost 2 all-nighters just to write this script. and I've been kind of pulling multiple after this movie because that's just how often it's on my mind. But I just needed to articulate it in as many thoughts as I could. And needless to say, I will definitely be buying the art book and hopefully the steelbook for Cross. Overall, I'm incredibly proud of the directors, voice actors, composer, producers, writers, production designers, art director, animators, character designers, sound designers, texture artists, comic book artists, and the other 1,000 people who worked on this. Be proud of this Letterboxd score. All of you deserve the world. The multiverse, if you will. I highly doubt any movie from this year, let alone animated one, is going to top this. Barbie, however? Let's see what happens. I wish the cast and crew the best of luck in getting more than a Best Animated Feature nomination at the Oscars next year. Best Picture contender, perhaps? Beyond the Spider-Verse was already my #1 most anticipated movie of 2024, but it somehow grew above that. I don't know how. So far, there's already a handful of movies I'm looking forward to next year, including Bong Joon-ho and Robert Pattinson's next movie, Mickey 17, which comes out. Oh hey, would you look at that? Anyone care to join me in a double feature? Yes, there's rumors that the date for Beyond will be pushed back, and I'll just say that I'll be severely disappointed, but not surprised. Words cannot describe how badly I want it. We already saw a few glimpses in this movie, and it looks incredible, but I'd rather wait another 5 years to have the best possible outcome than end up underwhelmed less than a year from now. With the possible SAG strike, who knows how long it'll take, but if actors can advocate to be treated fairly like their writers in the meantime, that's completely fine with me. I think the final thing I'm going to leave you off with is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is exactly what I wanted Frozen 2 and Wonder Woman 1984 to be. Both were sequels where my anticipation was through the roof, but once they came out, they weren't exactly critically acclaimed. I'm not as harsh on these movies as it seems like everyone else is, but I do greatly recognize their flaws and how they could have been much, much better. Thankfully, I can't say the same for Across the Spider-Verse, and let's hope and pray I won't be able to for Beyond either. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe, join my Patreon to support my channel, and follow my social medias, and keep supporting this franchise in any way you can wake up Hollywood and the general public. The future of animation in the palm of their hands. I'll see you guys later.